Hello everyone, today we're going to present you our assignment about the art in war through the works of Goya, Rimbaud, and Picasso. We are going to start by briefly introducing the artists, starting from a famous French poet, Arthur Rimbaud. He was born in 1854 on October 20 in Charville, France, and died at the age of 31 on 1891, and his art movement was symbolism.
Pablo Picasso was born in October 25, 1881. He was born in Malaga, Spain, and died in France, Mougins, in April 8, 1973. His art movement was principally Cubism, but he also experienced with Surrealism and Expressionism. Francisco Goya. He was born in March 30 in 1746, also in Spain, Fuente de Todos. He died in France, Bordeaux, in April 16 in 1828. His art movement was the Romanticism.
Continuing with the theme and the symbolism of the works, starting from the poem, in the sleeper in the valley, and the main themes are irony, war, and death, and the symbolisms are two main symbolisms are in the poem. One is the valley, which represents the youth and the potential of life. The second one is the soldier's death, as it represents the death and the destruction of war.
So we're going to be talking about the Guernica of Pablo Picasso, which was created in 1937. It is a representation of the terrible consequence of the bombing of the city of Guernica during the Spanish Civil War in 1936 until 1939. And also, we're going to talk about the Fusilamiento el 3 de Mayo of Goya, which was this piece of art was created in 1814. And these works depicts a tragic event during the Spanish War of Independence, in which French forces execute Spanish citizens in the early morning of May 3, 1808 in Madrid. So now we are going to talk about how these three pieces of art are linked, the connections that they have. And we have done this with three different topics. The first one is the war and human suffering. How do they evoke the human suffering caused by war? First, Rimbaud's poem, we are presented with a calm young character with half of smile and the impression of a poor vulnerable young man who has been killed with 2 bullet holes in his right side. In Picasso's painting, there is these enormous figures lost or lying on the ground, trying to escape death, similar to Goya's painting, in which we observe a crowd of totally defenseless civilians waiting in line for the moment of their execution. This leads us to observe how humans face an assure violent and unjustified future death, emphasizing the human suffering caused by the brutalism of war. And now about the resistance and sacrifice. First, with Rimbaud, we can see the resistance and sacrifice to protect or defend something. Is a soldier, he has been in a battle, and he sacrificed himself for protecting something. Also, in the poem, it says, Il dort dans le soleil, la main sur sa poitrine tranquille, which means he sleeps on the sun with his hand in his chest, tranquille, which is a metaphor of the soldier's sacrifice has not been in vain, but that his resistance persists even after his death. With Picasso, we have another type of resistance, emotional resistance, a determination to resist and confront the brutality and violence of the bombing. For example, here you have a part of the piece of art with the horse who's resisting this bombing, trying to escape the situation. And the last with Goya's painting, the main character, he's literally an expression of resistance and sacrifice with his hands open, waiting for the bullet.
And lastly, we're going to talk about the criticism through art. We can see the brutality of war and its effect on youth through Rimbaud's poem as he contrasts a peaceful environment with the sudden death of a young soldier. And we can see the anti-war statement through Picasso's work with its mass corpses and distorted, terrified figures. He portrays the chaos and the barbarity of the armed conflicts. And lastly, we can observe the vulnerability of people while facing harsh oppression from their faces through Goya's work. As you can see, all three artists use their art as critique of war, brutality, pain, and suffering of humans. And that is the assignment. Thank you for listening.